Hello, my name is John, and today we'll be reading For Americans, The Best of Times, The Worst of Times by Peter Morici, Washington Times, November 28, 2017. Peter Morici is an economist and business professor at the University of Maryland and a national columnist. For Americans, these are the best of times and the worst of times. The stock market is booming. Economic growth has jumped to 3%, and headline unemployment is near 4%. However, too many capable adults remain out of the workforce or stuck in dead-end jobs, more reliant on government and private handouts to keep roofs over their heads, feed their children, and obtain health care than at any time since the Great Depression. Increasingly, Americans are divided between the coastal elites, those who attended selective universities and garner high-paying jobs in finance, technology, medicine, government, and supporting services, and the rest of us. When the Clintons and Democrats in Congress complain that most of the benefits of growth are going to folks at the top, they are surely right. Over the last 2 decades, median household incomes have been more or less stagnant, but the inflation-adjusted costs for middle-class essentials like college, health care, and housing have zoomed. Meanwhile, upper-income Americans have outwitted it all and become more prosperous and culturally distant from the great masses. Many Americans are handicapped by mediocre educations, whose skilled content is more appropriate to the pre-digital age and more fundamentally by upbringings in rural communities and small cities, places where good jobs have been laid waste by Asian imports, automation, farm consolidation, and desperate immigrants, or in urban ghettos, places where broken families and expectations for government largesse and corporate favors mirror the worst days of populism in Mexico prior to NAFTA. Those communities share in common terrible social infrastructure, poor schools and transportation, shortages of physicians, lack of affordable high-speed connectivity, and sometimes even no readily accessible supermarkets, and higher mortality rates for infants and older residents than parallel wealthier urban cohorts. It is easy for liberals to piously recite scripture from the theology of identity politics and cast invectives about racism and sexism, but in fact many of the disadvantaged are white and male, formerly blue-collar and prosperous, or the children and grandchildren of the same. They have been riveted by globalization and technological change and neglected by an aloof urban elite. For young people and the unemployed, specialized training that leads to a job is often unavailable. In affluent cities where the best opportunities beckon, housing is too expensive, support networks from churches and civic institutions too scarce, and job licensing requirements too tough, all making relocation for better opportunities a cynical prescription. Americans are having trouble most of all because the welfare state, easy access to Social Security disability pensions, food stamps, Medicaid, and housing subsidies have replaced traditional middle-class norms with a dysfunctional culture that poses the toughest economic development challenge since the worst days of Appalachian poverty before the New Deal. Whereas the pervasive American culture once affirmed the value of hard work, self-discipline, child rearing, and stable marriages, service to employers and community, and respect for authority, Nowadays, liberal academics, journalists, advocacy groups, and apparatuses of government promote the exact opposite. Poor performance in school or on the job is first blamed on discrimination. Universities and businesses are compelled to graduate and provide employment for the undeserving and unqualified, or face federal lawsuits. Single parenthood is affirmed and subsidized, and spousal desertion is enabled and even incentivized by no-fault divorce laws. Police are targets of ridicule and sometimes attack. We see the worst results of these in rural areas and poor urban neighborhoods, among teenagers approaching adulthood with little idea about what it takes to become self-sufficient, and then who then emerge in their late 20s as encumbered and poverty-ridden as their parents. Bernie Sanders' universal health care, Hillary Clinton's free college, or Mark Zuckerberg's government-guaranteed annual income wouldn't fix these problems. These would only exacerbate them. Similarly, the Republican tax plan would instigate more growth, but it would mostly make the already prosperous more prosperous. Answers lie in championing cultural change by conditioning elements to genuine efforts at self-improvement and compelling prosperous cities to be more welcoming to migrating Americans, as opposed to exploiting immigrants, and a frank national discussion about the values and lifestyles that foster personal success. These are not vote-getters, but harsh measures and plain talk, and they are what's needed to reunite America. This video is a production of the School of the White Crane. My name is John Brooker, and you can reach me through commentary on this video or through my Gmail listed here. Please share this video with family and friends and on social media. May God richly bless you.